Not sweat. It's like weird.
Okie dokie. So we're gonna go over your test. Here it is. When you get it, don't throw it away. They're mine. I'm gonna be plucking them back. So don't put them away. Don't crumble them up. Don't do anything with that. I want them back. Password.
Over here. I didn't do it. Is that an 8 or a 9?
8.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
And Tyler. Alright, boom, go, boom. Okay.
I am fine with that.
Wait, I don't see the power.
Okay.
What'd you get?
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna zoom in here. It's at a 66. If you failed, I don't know, I didn't even do any calculations for that. If you failed, you have to retake. You don't have an option. If you don't like the score you have 1 week from today to have it done and complete. That doesn't mean you walk in here Friday. I hope everyone's listening. That doesn't mean you walk in next Friday saying, hey, Ward, I'm going to retake the test. That's too late. You have 1 week to already have it done. So, if you're going to retake it, you come in maybe after school today or Monday or Tuesday, and then we set a time before Friday because I'm not grading papers until 3 in the morning on a Friday, like I did last night. Okay? So, all right. So, test is at a 66. You can see your scores. I'll kind of explain the point systems here. It still boggles my mind that people can miss vocab words, and not just one, I'm talking all of them. When I told you the words that are on there, like, I don't know how that's possible. So, I'm not even joking. It's every single word I said on practice test day that it's there. Like, I can't make that any easier other than saying, hey, your answer is the first one. Okay? All right. So, a form of a conditional statement that uses if and only if. That's a biconditional. We talked about that. Converse is a related conditional that switches or exchanges hypothesis conclusion. Supplementary is 2 angles added to make 180. Negation is the opposite meaning of a statement. By the way, the negation, that word was on your practice test. Part of a conditional that follows the word then is a conclusion. Deductive is using facts, rules, definitions to make a conclusion. It's memorization. Disjunction uses the word or. Inverse is when you negate the hypothesis and conclusion. You negate them. You don't exchange them, you negate. Theorem is a statement that needs to be proven before it's accepted as truth. Vertical is angles that are formed by the intersection of straight lines. By the way, that word was on your practice test. You shouldn't get that one wrong. And then counterexample is an example of a conditional statement that disproves the conclusion. That is also on the practice test. So there's 3 words that just happen to be from the other one. 2 words were not used. I think it was polygon and sequence. They were not used. Moving on, number 2. You had all the formulas in front of you. It still boggles my mind that people didn't even want to attempt these. You had to understand it's a circle, so you look over there at the formula. You have to take the radius of your circle, which is 5.8 centimeters. You take it times 2 times pi. That's your answer. It should be centimeters. That's the circumference. That's the perimeter around it. It's the distance around it. So it's 36 centimeters around it. The area, you take the radius, you square it, and then you take it times pi. So there you go. It's about 1.05, I should say. And that's centimeters squared. I'm looking for those numbers. That's what I'm looking for. Number 3, a rectangular prism. Some people are saying cube. I can understand that. It kind of looks like one of those polyhedrons. To find surface area, if you look over there, you had to find the perimeter of the bottom. The perimeter of the bottom is 14. And a lot of people tell me the perimeter of the bottom is 20. I think by accident you were taking the 5 times the 2. I think that was a common mistake people were doing. The perimeter of the bottom is 2 plus 5 plus 2 plus 5. That's 14. It's 7 plus 7. Then you take it times how tall it is. That's the formula over there for its perimeter times height. Then you take that plus 2 of the bases added together. 2 of the bases is 2 times 10. That area of the bases. That's the B on that. The area of the base is 10, so you take it times 2. So I got 104 inches. That's surface area. Now, if you're not that person that like doing that, like you don't like using the formula, what you could have done is just find the area of each of these plates and just add them all up. So the bottom plate's 10, the top plate's 10, this one's 30, it's 5 and 6. This plate over here is 12, the back one's 30, this one over here is 12. You can just add up all the walls, you would got 104 anyway. The next one, volume, you just take the 3 dimensions, multiply together. Length, width, and height. So 30 times 2. Okay. Next one. That is not your next one. Third page. This is not order. Okay. Sequence. If you didn't recognize the sequence here, it went down 2, down 1, down 0, up 1, up 2, up 3, up 4. So the next one would be up 5, then it would be up 6, up 7. So you'd go 44, 50, 57. That's adding 5, adding 6, adding 7. I don't know how people can get those wrong, especially that one. I think some people are adding wrong. I had a lot of like 43, 30, or 49. Like you're off by 1. I don't know what happened there. All right, moving on. Number 5, you have to multiply by 3, add 1. Multiply by 3, add 1. Multiply by 3, add 1. We did this problem. This is one we did in class together. And then the next one would be you add 1, so it's 94. You multiply by 3, it's 282. You add another 1, which is 283. So there you go. I tried to pick kind of an easy sequence if you recognize the pattern. All right. See, number 6 and 7. You had to use the triangle off to the side to state whether the sentences are true or false. The first problem is an and problem, so they both have to be true to be an and. They did actually end up being true. This first sentence says, is this figure a triangle? Yes, it is. And then Q is, does this figure have 2 equal walls? Yes, it does. They're marked. So now that we know that, so it's true and true, we know the overall answer is true because it's an and problem, but to doing the table, you have 3 columns. You have the P, the Q column, and then the P and Q column. So for this answer to work, you have to have both trues. Yes. Both trues, no. Both trues, no. Both trues, no. It was 3 out of 4 chances to be false, but it ended up being true anyway. It was 25%. Okay, it didn't matter that the percent said 75. The likelihood was, it wasn't 0. The best way I can put this is like the Powerball or the Mega Millions tonight. It's almost $1 billion tonight for the Mega Millions ticket. It's $1 billion with a B. The percents of winning round to 0%. I did the math. You look at all the combinations of balls that can come out of that machine. There's like 50 balls in the machine. Your actual percent of getting all the balls the right numbers is literally 0.7 zeros and then a number. So it's not 0%, it's 0.00, like it's like 1/1,000,000 of a percent. Somebody has to win, right? Somebody has to win. Keep going. But it literally rounds to 0. My calculator, this $150 calculator, said 0. It didn't even go past that 7th decimal point. It just said 0% chance of winning. But logic says somebody has to win. Why do you think it's $1 billion? Because no one's winning it. Okay, but the likelihood, it's not exactly 0, right? It's 0 point something with a number, so it's not 0%, but it's so small my calculator says 0%. It won't even round it. It's not 1%, it's 0. So it's really weird how the calculator picks that round out. Now, this next one, you have a bunch of columns here. Q, R, not Q, not R, and then the final answer, which is an OR problem. If one or the other is true, it's a true sentence. If you read the sentence up above, I'll actually read the sentences before we start. So since this is not Q or not R, not Q means the figure does not have 2 congruent sides. That's false, it does. The figure does not have 3 acute angles. That's true. It does not have 3 acute angles. One of the angles is a right angle, it has a box. So that is actually a true statement. So knowing that it's one or the other, it will be true. So because one of the sentences, when you negate it, was actually true. Okay, but setting up the columns, you can see them. I negate these columns. To get this column, I just switch the opposite answers. To get this column, I switch the opposites of R's. And then the final column is if one of these is true, then it's true because it's an OR problem. Are one of those true? No. Are one of these true? Yes. Are one of those true? Yes. Are one of these true? Yes. So it was 3 out of 4 chances it was going to be yes, and it actually ended up being yes. It was that second column there. All right, number 8. I think most people did really well on these. They understood the true and false. You got lucky, if you noticed. I probably didn't check it off if you didn't put hypothesis and conclusion. You probably got really lucky. Okay. Some people got so caught up in, oh, it's true or false. They didn't even read what you were supposed to do in the first place. Identify where the hypothesis conclusions are. But I didn't even finish the word true, just true. First sentence is true, supplementary means as of 280. Here's the funny thing. This is what I love. Do you see that problem right there? Number 8. I picked that one on purpose. Why did I put that problem there? It's one of the vocab words. Here's the best thing. Somebody got that one right. They said, oh, yeah, that's true. They got the vocab wrong. Up at the top. It's the definition. It's right there. How do you get that one wrong, but you get this one right? All right, moving on to number 9. That's why I actually put it there, just to see how many people would do it. Somebody did it. It made me laugh. All right, I'm going to make fun of them, too. All right, an animal is poisonous, right? Then it must be a snake. False, it can be any other animal. Now, I made a bad example. I said spider. I know that's an insect, but you know, I'm thinking broad. You an animal, any type. I don't care if you picked an actual amphibian or you picked a reptile or an insect. You picked some form of an animal. I don't really care what it is. It's a spider. You know, it could have been. I think somebody said like a weird type of eel or jellyfish. They have poisonous tentacles, barnacles, whatever it is. The idea is that there's many different animals. It doesn't have to be a snake. I even had some people, it was really funny, they said false, garter snake. Garters, or whatever, how you pronounce it. It's not poisonous, I understand that. You had to come up with a different example, not a snake. Okay, I know you gave me a snake that isn't poisonous. They didn't say that specific snake. You have to give me a different animal. Who was it? Somebody put false, a different animal, like a cat. That's what I'm wondering. So I understand where they're going with it. I think I just said I put a question mark and I just skipped over it. It hurt my brain too much. I just went past it. So moving on to number 9 or 10. I mean. Yeah. So yeah, I'll make fun of them later.
Hey, can you do me a favor?
Would you?
So you know how your videos aren't on your website?
They are.
No, they're not. They're like not updating, and they say that they're not on there.
You want to refresh?
Yeah, Mom and I were both checking. It's not on there for either of us. I just need one video because you jumped around, so I don't know the difference between all of these.
What video are you talking about?
The first day that we did this right here.
Last Friday?
No.
Or last?
No.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Seriously, I just spelled it wrong.
I'm just confused because you did like asymptotes, then you went to intercepts, then you went to something else, and you just like jumped around, so I have no idea.
How?
I still don't know what's going on.
That's why I'm not guessing this morning, because your videos weren't like loading for us last night.
I was just hoping it was false.
Review part 1, that's Tuesday.
Which one did you have uploaded anything
It's
for
waiting
October?
for supplementary.
Literally,
I have no idea what that means.
Why is it showing us me here?
I have no idea.
I'm literally on the website.
Yeah,
I looked on the website last
Are you on
night.
this.org or are you on
I got
the Joe's?
89.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
they
literally
were
looking, and I'm not even logged into it. This is just open up a random browser.
Maybe it was like
57.
the Wi-Fi we were on or something.
77.
You might want to go look again. They're all there and they've been there all
I
week.
got 57.
It was doing it.
I got 58. I would have gotten 60, but I
I'm just
didn't.
trying to be a good student and get a good
Mark,
grade on this so I don't fail your class.
you used to like input a square.
Now pass or fail.
I'm showing up stupid period yesterday. I'm gonna miss
They're
supplementary.
there, I promise you.
You missed something. Even though it was on the
Wait,
test.
was that me who missed the supplementary one?
Maybe.
Because I did that. I also did that.
Okay,
Ooh.
moving on.
Sad. That's sad.
Alright, moving on. Alright. 3 sentences. You have to label which one's which. Bird's an ostrich, then it can't fly. You just have to negate. So the inverse of this, the inverse is where you put the word not in there. So a bird is not an ostrich, then it cannot not fly. That means can fly, by the way. You just switch the opposite meaning. Negation means you flip the opposite, that it can fly. Converse, you just take the original sentence and you flip it. So if a bird cannot fly, then it is an ostrich. Contrapositive is taking this sentence and putting the word not in there. So if a bird cannot not fly, which is can fly, then it is not an ostrich. It's putting the word not in there. When it's a double negative, it makes a positive. So that's why it can fly. That okay, as an opposite mean. That's what negations are. These are the order I went in. I invert the original, I exchange the original, and then I negate that exchange. So you can see how I did mine. Put them in that order. And that's how I did it all practice this days. All right, number 11 and 12. If you didn't attempt it, like 'cause some people are like, I'm not even going to start that. You missed every point, and you deserve to miss all 8 or 7 or 6 points there is. Because number 1, number one, even if you didn't attempt to do the property names, you better be able to solve for x from algebra 1. Like, subtract 1, divide by 2. You better at least show me that you can get down to 6. Because if you didn't show me any of that, yeah, you deserve to miss 8 points. Because you're in the wrong class. This is geometry, we go past that. Okay? Number 12, you had to be able to simplify that problem down because that's a 6th grade math problem where you distribute 8 and you add like zeros, right? That's what you got to do. Now, if you didn't get the property names, I understand. Guess what? If you look at your problems, I only counted 1 point off. 1 if you didn't get the property names right. You're welcome. 1. So, the people are like, oh, I don't know how to do it, I don't know the property names. Better do the algebra. That was something you did for the past 4 years of your life. Okay, all right. Now, there's little things that people mess up. If you stopped halfway and you didn't finish, yeah, you deserve to miss the halfway point. 4 points off. If you stopped maybe near the end, maybe you only missed a point or 2, but you had to keep going. I immediately counted it wrong if you got wrong answers. Like, I had somebody tell me negative 88 minus 7 is negative 81.
How?
Just a second, negative 95. If you didn't show me the parenthesis where you're factoring on an x, that's an incorrect step. So you missed 1, right? The most I think people missed, if you actually attempted it to get the right answers, is probably 2, unless you stopped halfway, okay? That's kind of the idea, because I just kind of point off for one of the property names. I didn't go very specific. Like, I was going to make this problem worth 12. That's not even realistic, because when I looked at it, maybe in all the classes, 10 people did all the properties right. 10. Everyone else was getting like 1 or 2 of them correct out of 7 property names. So I only counted 1 point off. But the math better be there. Like on this one, it boggles my mind. What's 13 minus 1? 12, not 14. Somebody literally wrote 13 minus 1, 14.
That was me.
Yeah, happened. You were not the only one.
Good.
There was a lot that did that. Because you're just going too fast. I understand that. Going too quick. But what I don't understand is what's 14 divided by 2 or 12 divided by 2, not 3. Not, what was one of the numbers I had? 18? Like, no way. So, like, they did all the math right, and then suddenly they just like, they must have took like just a break for a while, and they're like, oh, yeah, I forgot to answer the last one. It's 18. No, it's not. Like, you didn't do that. So, that made me laugh. All right. Now, the reason why I took it light on these, who's your first attempt at it? That's why if you attempted the problems, you probably missed maybe 2. If you stopped, you missed more points than that. If you didn't attempt it, you missed like a ton. You at least should get the math right. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? Like, it's your first attempt. That's why I didn't want to take more than 2. So I was trying to keep it light on these because I know it's like your first attempt at doing proofs. So I didn't want to like crush you yet. So, all right. Retakes. You have 1 week from the day to have it done. Not coming in Friday next week and going, Ward, I didn't take the retake. Can I do it today? You have to be coming in today, Monday, Tuesday, or before after school, and setting a time where we can retake. Where you have to spend 10 minutes with me to go over the problems you missed. Because maybe it was just something stupid, something simple, like you read the problem wrong, or you did 13 minus 1 is 14. Not to pick on. Or maybe you did the supplementary thing wrong, and you did the definition right. All right. Okay, we're good now. I'm going to take these back for a minute. Okay, pretty good scores. I had a plethora of scores that were in the upper 60s, which is good. That's what I wanted. Now, if you're in those lower brackets, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that you have room for improvement. Yeah, that's the best way to go. So.
Vocab always kills me.
I told you
That's supplementary.
That's still where you go. And you were not.
Subtracting gets me.
Subtracting
gets me.
Adding
Adding gets me. Adding.
Oh, see that?
Adding.
That? Okay,
7
fine.
to a number.
Hey, it was probably a good strategy if you didn't know what it meant to go the opposite route, so that at least you have both covered and you have like 1 point instead of like committing all the way and missing both. Yeah, that's a good strategy. Actually. What?
Thanks. I love test correction days.
All right. Yeah, I make fun of people. Don't take it personally. I do it for my own enjoyment. I get my good shells out of it. All right. Moving on. Okay. Today, all I want to do for the next 10 minutes maybe is to intro what we're going into. That's it. We're going to intro, nothing super in depth. Bree, can you get lights for me, please? Thank you. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a light introduction today. Hopefully you can kind of see what we're going into, why we're doing this. We're still going to be sticking with algebra. That's the problem. Like that problem number 11 and 12 isn't going away. We do that for a long time. So that's why it's your first attempt at it. We'll be practicing these more because in the later sections when we actually get to like problems like this, where we actually get to like rectangles and squares and we get to properties, there's one property in particular we're going into in this like these coming sections where they tell me this wall is equal to that wall. That's what that little box means, right? We did that since chapter 1. That's what these little hash marks mean. Well, one of the problems that you're going to have eventually is this. Where they're going to give you that and they're going to say, prove x is 1. Well, to prove that x is 1 when you know that these are equal to each other is to do this. So start there because you know that they're actually congruent to each other because they have the same marker. So then you do the math. You see that you still have to do algebra. And we still have to do the proof for it. So you're going to have to subtract 9, do the property of opposites, do the additive identity where you add 0, and then you can get to the substitution, which is x is 1, which you're going to subtract 9. We'll put 19. Okay, does that make sense, like why we're going into this? Like this is the start. To this chapter we're going into, chapter 3, I call it unit 3 really, because we mix a bunch of sections together, is proofs, but geometry proofs. So we're going into we're going to start, I know it's going to seem really weird, we're going to start on section 2.5 on Monday. This is points, lines, and planes again. And you're thinking, didn't we do that a long time ago? Yeah, it was the very first section back in August 23rd. Okay, points, lines, and planes. But now we have to do proofs with this stuff. So now we have to look back at the words points, lines, the different types of lines, and planes, and actually apply an algebra proof to it, or a geometric proof. Because maybe your problem is this. Maybe they told me in this example that you have line segment AB is congruent is that little equal sign with the tilde above it, is congruent to BC. Now, what does it mean when I leave the little bar off of it? Just equal, yep. If I left that little squiggly, if I just have the equal signs, that means they're equal. We use the equal sign for algebra, right? Well, they tell me this right away, that this is true, this is my given. That we know that 2 sticks are equal, and I'll draw the 2 sticks here in a minute. But maybe they say down below that AB is a 2x plus 1, and BC is 13. So this is that problem that was in your test. Well, now that I know that these are supposed to be congruent or equal, you can set the algebra equal to each other. So it's applying algebra with a little bit of geometry. The thing I want us to get better at, number 1, can you at least get to the right answer? Can we at least get that x has to be, it has to be a 6? Can we get there? Then we're going to start focusing on those property names again, because they're not going away. We have to get better and better and better at them because we use them every chapter, every section from now on. So we have to get good. So on Monday, we're going to practice proofs again. Then we're going to look at properties. So Monday's going to be kind of heavy duty on notes. You will need your Chromebook Monday. We're going to kind of go into more of a PowerPoint style to get through some property names, and we're going to do a little bit of algebra. So there's going to be some hands-on, there's going to be some technology kind of mixed in. Does that make sense? Okay. But again, remember, the whole goal, what we're going into, is to mix algebra with geometry, and hopefully it makes sense and you understand why we did it. Because that was the question I got last week, and this week was like, why are we doing all this proof stuff? Like, what's it for? Well, it's for this stuff. When we have to get to a picture where you have to actually prove what a certain wall length is or what the numbers are, you have to do the algebra to prove it, and you have to show me the evidence why it's, in this case, 1, or why the evidence over there says x is 6 with a picture. Question?
My parents wanted me to ask you this. What would we even use this for in a job?
Proof. Anytime you need to justify a reason for anything in the world, you have to show evidence to justify why something's happening. You're doing a proof, you just didn't even know it. This is just teaching you the math behind it, my math side of it, why we do something. So, it's like if you're trying to convince your boss why this certain manufacturing process will change your product. You can show the math behind it. You can actually justify it. You can give actual reasons and logical reasons and the right steps without just jumping to the answer and going, oh, it's just because this is the best way to do it. It's actually showing a reason. That's why we do it.
Are we eventually going to have to memorize the property?
Yes, eventually. Not for a while. Not until like chapters 3 or 4 or 5. You know, those later chapters. That's when we'll probably have to do it. Right now, we're still using that property sheet. Does everyone still have that property sheet I gave you with all like the additive, subtraction, you know, those properties? You'll need those. I don't even know if I have those anymore. I don't think I have any extra copies. So you're gonna have to go to my website, make sure you print them off. Yeah, these. You have to go print them off. I have that one. I didn't have a copy. That was just so. All right. But that's it for today. Today was just a light intro of what we're going into, why we're doing this stuff. Remember, if you want to take a retake, make sure you're taking the time to do that. You only have 1 week from today to get that done. I'm going to be putting your test grades in today. Once those test grades are in, that's your quarter grade. You're going to know it. So I got to enter in like late